Why won't Michael Saylor show Strategy's Bitcoin holdings? I mean, we know we could do that. We see El Salvador, their reserves are public. We saw Paulo, the CEO of Tether. He just posted a Bitcoin address and he showed Tether's reserves, showed 92,000 Bitcoin. So we know this is possible, right? Now, his response might surprise you. And it triggered everyone to ask the question, does Strategy actually have the 580,000 Bitcoin? Now, we understand this is a touchy subject. And I personally am a huge fan of Saylor and everything he's contributed to the space. But I'll let you guys see the clip yourself and then make your own judgment. And of course, I'm joined here with my legendary co-host, who's always optimistic, Optimus Fields in the house.
Let me make the following point. A lot of people learn stuff from FTX and Mt. Gox, but I'm not sure they learned the things that the institutional community needs to learn going forward. The current conventional way to publish proof of reserves is an insecure proof of reserves. It actually dilutes the security of the issuer, the custodians, the exchanges, and the investors. It's not a good idea. It's a bad idea. It's like publishing the address and the bank accounts of all your kids and your phone numbers of all your kids, and then thinking somehow that makes your family better. It doesn't make your family better. So no institutional grade or enterprise security analyst would think it's a good idea to publish all of the wallet addresses such that you can be traced back and forth and every future transaction can be traced. I would say go to AI, put it in deep think mode, and then ask it, what are the security problems of publishing your wallet addresses and how might they undermine the security of the company over time? It'll write you a book. It'll be 50 pages of security problems. So the problem with proof of reserves, the way that people do it right now, is it's first of all, it's a proof of assets that is insecure, and it is not a proof of liabilities. And so if you really want crypto security and you're maxi about this, my suggestion is buy Bitcoin, self-custody your Bitcoin. It's pretty freaking obvious, right? You should own the Bitcoin yourself if that's what you want. If you're going to be a securities investor, okay, if you invest in securities, what you want is an institutional grade proof of assets and proof of liabilities with them netted out, okay? And the best practice of that is not to publish the wallet. The best practice of that would be have a Big Four auditor that does an audit that checks to make sure that you actually have the Bitcoin. And then you also have to check to make sure the company hasn't rehypothecated or pledged the Bitcoin or entered into any debt or credit obligations where the Bitcoin is pledged. And you have to net those out, and you have to publish those, and you have to sign them as the Big Four firm. Then you have to wash it through a public company where the CFO signs, then the CEO signs, then the chairman and all the outside directors are civilly and criminally liable for it.
At Bitcoin 2025 on the floor at the Rumble booth. I gotta say, I love Rumble. I love these guys so much. Freedom of speech. I mean, it's amazing. Anyways, Opti, Saylor, look, I'll be honest with you, and shout out to Mitchell HODL for asking this question. And we just saw him on the floor not too long ago. Why is that a weird question, man? That shouldn't be a weird question. Like, as Bitcoiners, like, that's the whole point of Bitcoin. You know, El Salvador has their reserves public. Tether, Paulo posted the address of Tether's Bitcoin reserves public. That was fine. Why is it any different for Saylor? Look, I understand. Look, he's a very smart guy. He's been in the markets for a long time. I'm not questioning his integrity, but like from a first principles standpoint, you know, perhaps I don't understand it, right? But technically, you could just post the address so everyone could see the Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, first of all, shouts out to Mitchell HODL, one of my favorite Zoomers out there, an absolute Chad of a Zoomer. He's one of the rising stars, in my opinion. Now, really going into kind of, let's start with Saylor's response at first. Obviously, it's 150 IQ take on this. And, you know, being as neutral as I possibly can, as objective as I can, it does sound, at least from a maxi Bitcoin perspective, that he is sort of dodging the question. But I think when you really break down what he's saying, it does make sense from a traditional financial perspective here. He literally said, and I think he's got a very good point here. I think this is a really good point. What he said is like, hey, look, showing proof of reserves is not enough. Just showing the assets that your company holds is not enough when you're not also showing the liabilities. And if you saw further in the clip, it was like a 10-minute clip he went on. Obviously, he talked about Mt. Gox and SBF, and he's talking, I think he even did a jab at SBF, calling him a tweaker later on in the video, which is, a very, I don't think we've seen Saylor get like that excited about something. He almost even actually cussed, which I think might go further into just like, maybe how uncomfortable he was in this question himself, which is, I don't know if I want to say telling, but it is very interesting, the response we got. And again, the big takeaway, though, from his perspective is, hey, look, I don't want to go to jail. I'm not trying to do anything to break the law. I think that further and moving forward, we will see some form of proof of reserves, but I think it needs to be a little more intensive. And honestly, I think that's a fair point. Him basically saying, hey, look, you can prove the assets you hold, but it doesn't account for the liabilities. If you hold 100 million in Bitcoin, but you have 400 million in debt, it really proves nothing. And he was kind of saying, this is some crypto charlatan stuff, some magic tricks going on. So, on that front, I think that's a very valid point. I'm not going to say that like there's anything sketchy going on. I think Saylor is a Bitcoiner, but I think it does make us as Bitcoiners entering into a more mature industry, a mature market, mature financial markets. We're growing up here. I think it's a very valid take, even though from like my ideological Bitcoin maxi perspective, I'm thinking, bro, just show the reserves, dude.
Right.
Like everyone else has done it, you can do it too. But it is interesting. Again, the last kind of little takeaway or example that he showed is basically, look, you don't show your your children's address and their age and their social security. That's not going to keep you safer. Like, again, you could say he skirted the question, but I think he might be thinking on a higher like financial level here than us 85 IQ Bitcoiners. But what do I know? I'm not a billionaire with a public company.
No, and that's a really good take. And by the way, I completely agree with you, right? Like, you look at it from the Bitcoiner's purest perspective, and you're just like, bro, like, come on now. And it's interesting, too, by the way. We're not the only ones that are feeling this way. Mr. HODL, which is extremely well known in the Bitcoin community, he says, unpopular opinion, I don't believe Saylor owns all that Bitcoin.
Oof.
Alex Thorne
Oof.
actually asked Saylor this question. Says, here's what he told me about proof of reserves when he did a podcast with him. Mr. HODL basically replies, like, trust me, bro. Predator says, even by his own logic, he doesn't own Bitcoin. He's referencing an old Michael Saylor post where he says, not your keys. So, I mean, look, again, I see NVK, right? Founder of CoinKite, great hardware wallet, one of our partners. He said there's a way to prove it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's different ways to do it. I understand. Look, Saylor obviously has experience that me and Opti don't have. He has, he's been in the markets for many decades. But as first principles Bitcoiners, we're looking at this and we're just saying, like, I mean, it's really not that hard, right? It's really not that hard. And we have other massive companies that are posting their addresses public.
Yeah.
And it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, this is what's beautiful about Bitcoin. You can ask these difficult questions.
Yeah.
You can say these difficult things, and you shouldn't be persecuted for it.
This is true. This is true. And also, one last takeaway, though, is, again, from our first principles as a Bitcoiner, he's basically saying, look, we got to trust the financial auditors. And of course, for us Bitcoiners, we're like, this is not how we do things. And we're literally trying to break away from the financialization of the world. These fiat people is what we despise. And yet, I get it. There's laws in place and there's things, codes that he has to go by. It just does make you feel weird as a Bitcoiner. Though he did say, hey, if you don't trust us, bro, take your Bitcoin into self-custody, which is what we say all the time. If you don't trust these Bitcoin treasury companies, the best thing to do is take your Bitcoin into custody. we've been speculating. I don't know if now is the time to speculate on Bitcoin treasury companies, but
no, let's not bring that up.
This is not our trust model. Our personal trust model is we just believe buy Bitcoin, take it into custody. This is the best thing. You know, don't get caught up chasing yield, because that's how we've seen historically a lot of people get wrecked. So if you are risk averse to losing your Bitcoin, you buy Bitcoin from wherever you want to. We love Bitcoin Well, it's our partner, but you got to take it into custody on a hardware wallet, at the very least, a hot wallet on your phone, and then get to a hardware wallet. But he even said that himself. So it's not like he's saying, hey, just trust me, bro. He's at least kind of given the signal. But it is getting a lot of pushback lately, or rather this morning. It blew up Twitter. It blew up Twitter this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, shout out to Mitchell for having the cojones to ask that type of question.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending, with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledn.io today.